Never easy. Never, ever easy. So we are actually live now, and believe it or not, I cannot believe I got the technology to work, and hopefully you guys can hear us okay, and I can see comments as they come up, so you'll let us know. Again, this is the Educational Learning Series, the CBD Educational Learning Series that I'm super excited to bring to everyone. And with me today is my good friend Arthur, who's going to talk to us about all kinds of stuff. We're going to wait a few minutes to make sure that we can get some more people on. And while we're waiting for people to get on, Arthur, I'm going to go through like the stuff that we have to talk about.
Of course.
Yeah, the stuff that everybody needs to hear about. So just so you know that this is everything that the Paleo Boss Lady brand talks about is through the lens of my own personal experience. I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. We are not prescribing anything. We're not suggesting that you work outside of your healthcare team. As a matter of fact, I recommend that you do work with a healthcare team. We are not treating, diagnosing, or suggesting anything other than sharing with you our own experience. And for me especially, I'm sharing with you things that aid to my miracle status as being potentially the most healed person we know in the world who has multiple sclerosis using only diet and lifestyle. I see no doctors. I take no prescription drugs. I have no out-of-pocket healthcare costs. And okay, the other thing I want to say is that Arthur's going to be so nice and answer our questions, but I would really appreciate it if you could leave them to the end, like maybe the last 10 or 15 minutes. This is going to run no more than 45 to 50 minutes. And the reason why I'm asking that is because normally when I teach, I want to answer right away. But so many people ask me about CBD questions. I feel like we all need to learn in this series. So it would be really good if we could all just listen rather than have our questions answered right away. So if you could maybe just kind of hold your questions till the end. And then we'll go through and answer them. We got to answer every question last night. Okay, another important thing is that we have a great PDF for you, all kinds of information, so you don't have to worry if you miss anything. Now, in order to get that, you're going to email me at v@paleobosslady.com. That's v@paleobosslady.com. And you're going to put in the subject, I consent to be signed up. In the message, put to Elixinol and Paleo Boss Ladies newsletter. And the reason why is the government requires that for the CBDN. So if you want to get it, that's what you have to do, okay? So it's, I consent to be signed up for the Elixinol and Paleo Boss Lady newsletter. And then just so that you know, tomorrow night is the final night, and we're going to have Chris on, and he's going to talk to us a lot about, cannabis and CBD and cannabis, and we're going to talk about all the different, actually, how to make sure you're the most educated consumer, so that so you understand hemp from the soil and what it does, because this is sort of the new part of my conscious life. It's so funny, Arthur, I was really only worried about my footprint. I never really thought about the products that I use, their footprint. And I really think that it's important for us to learn about the hemp footprint, because it really blew me away.
And the lack thereof.
Yeah, right. So we're going to talk about all that. So this way, by the time this series is done, you are going to have all the knowledge you need, not only to add this to your medicine cabinet, but to also to your wellness program as a dietary supplement, but also to know exactly what it is, what to look for, what sourcing is, why things are tested. We heard great testimony from and got great education last night, and I was overwhelmed. We could have Dr. Blair on for a week, could we not?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it was a lot. Dr. Blair rules.
He's one of the best and most educated in the entire world when it comes to CBD, cannabinoids, hemp, health, diet, nutrition. And, just an extremely experienced individual from his background, being ex-military and
right.
and truly having a profound understanding and just, intrinsic comprehension to the plant, to the endocannabinoid system, and all the benefits that can be provided through proper, supplements, health, diet, and lifestyle.
Now you got into this. Tell us your story so that we can sort of share it with everyone.
Yeah, so my story, my background is environmental science as well as fitness and business. I graduated from the University of Colorado with environmental science degree, as well as a business minor. And I've been extremely motivated and passionate about sports my entire life. Playing sports growing up, and competing at different levels. In high school, my focus was always football and lacrosse. As far as sports go, of course,
wow,
school is important as well.
Right.
And it was really my one of my childhood dreams, and growing up in Boulder, was to play for the University of Colorado. And I was able to accomplish that dream, and earn a scholarship at CU. And so through that process of competing on such a high level as a Division I athlete, I developed just a profound passion and understanding for fitness and health, and really learning a lot about myself, my health, and really my body. One thing that I just a message that I would like to get across to the viewers is just the importance and value of putting yourself in a position where you are competing, because of how much you're able to learn about yourself and
Nice.
your body. And it's really, at any level, competition at any level, it just it changes your mindset and makes you think a bit more strategically and meticulously about what you're doing, how you can improve, and just the overall improvement of your health and life. And so that's ultimately my background. Very, very big into the environment, and of course it was sort of ingrained into my roots, being a Colorado native and growing up in the outdoors, and just being very passionate for the environment and understanding the value in the environment. So that's my ultimate background and my passion for getting involved in the hemp industry, and building Elixinol from the ground up with incredible people. People are by far the most important thing.
Yeah. Now, so share with us, do you use CBD yourself?
I do. Yeah, every day. And on days that I work out, I will take it twice a day.
Okay. And what does that look like? Is it like before the workout? Is there a specific time? And how did you get to understand that?
Yeah, so I do take it before I work out, as well as before I go to bed. So, two very, very different and contrasting, points of my day and activities, as taking it as a precursor to these activities, really just completely different ends of the spectrum.
Right.
And a lot of, that tends to confuse a lot of people, but it's really just because of the versatility of
CBD.
Of hemp and CBD and the various cannabinoids and phytocannabinoids, but ultimately CBD, because it's essentially it's a neuromodulator. And so, when you look at other substances that are well known, caffeine as an example, alcohol as an example, most people are have that understanding of what the effects and the results of taking certain types of supplements or products.
Right.
The difference with CBD is that it is a neuromodulator. So there isn't one distinct pathway within the cell, whereas a lot of these other substances do have that very distinct pathway within the cell. And we're all built with an endocannabinoid system. And I'm sure that Dr. Blair covered
talked
that
about it.
to a large extent last night.
Thankful.
And what it comes down to is that because CBD is able to modulate, it's able to basically fill that void and provide equilibrium on a cellular level. And so with its vast versatility within the body, there's a lot of strengths that it's able to provide, and similarities that will be widespread and common, from individual to individual. Granted, we're all very different, and we all have
Right.
very different chemical compositions, and we all have different imbalances. And the world we live in sort of creates these quite volatile imbalances within the body. So we all tend to react differently to different things, and that's ultimately in part to society and the environment we live in. But where CBD is so impressive is its ability to modulate on the cellular level. So most people, when they take it, will notice the effects in areas that are that are out of balance, and that can include everything is technically an imbalance. Even pain is a systemic imbalance to an extent. And so when I take it before I work out, it's able to deliver that focus that my body is looking for, to execute in an effective and efficient workout, as well as creating a higher level of focus. And this is my personal experience, and I definitely am aware of other people having a similar experience. But for me, I take it, and there's a lot of benefits I notice from a workout perspective. And most people, their original thought when it comes to CBD, because most, I think as far as the general public and the education that people have, is the understanding that CBD, can be fairly beneficial as a anti-inflammatory. And so a lot of people will naturally think that, it would be great as a post-workout item,
Right.
to reduce the amount of inflammation and increase the recovery time, which is true. But
Right.
and that's how I first started too. That's kind
But
of
you
where I
flipped
first
it.
started. I flipped it because, I began to understand that if I take it before, I can target that inflammation before it even happens. So you can actually prevent damage rather than healing damage after the fact, allowing that damage to happen and then healing it. So both are beneficial, and certainly applicable on both ends of of a hard workout. But I notice additional benefits when I do take it before working out, and those benefits are focus, endurance. I personally, I've always been more of a contact sports type of
Well,
person.
football, lacrosse, isn't that what you said?
Yeah, and I don't particularly love long distance
No.
running, or just really long endurance type exercise. But when I take CBD, I'm able to run, and I'm able to really kind of get into a zone. My breathing becomes much more controlled, and it's very relaxed focus.
Nice.
But there's also, and this applies both on a running side as well as a strength side, is that I do notice a increased threshold for pain. So I'm actually able to push myself past the point in which I would normally, have my mind tell me to quit, where I can actually reach closer to, muscle fatigue,
Right.
actual fatigue, rather than, mental, that mental block, due to pain. And so I truly stand by it. I think it's the next best thing in the fitness world. And I can definitely attribute, a lot of my workouts to that and my, overall fitness plan. And then at night, it allows me to sleep. It relaxes me. It,
Mm-hmm.
it really, it gives me what my body needs. And even throughout the day, I mean, I'll typically keep, this is
That's
our
right.
yeah, the liposomal product. So,
It's
I'll typically
right.
keep this on my desk,
That's
and
right. I have it on the desk. Isn't that
anytime,
funny?
yeah, anytime, I hit like a block, or, gets a little bit of fatigue, or, get, foggy headed, or need a break, I'll usually, take a couple squirt pumps. And it really helps, it allows, I love it.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I do it in the morning and at night, and I didn't really think much about my workouts. I have a weird sleep habit. I guess it's my sleep habit, but I like to wake up very early in the morning, usually between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m. But I normally go to bed between 6 and 8 p.m.
Mhm.
And I get on the yoga mat before, like I was on the yoga mat and done by 5 o'clock this morning. But as soon as I get up, the first thing I do is CBD. And
Mhm.
my workouts have been extraordinary. And I just thought it's because I was the greatest thing since milk. But I guess that's because of CBD. They really have, like, I feel like my focus, on the yoga mat has been a lot better, meaning that I can quiet my mind and just focus on my breath and not on 2,700 other things.
Speaking of milk, I have to chime in here. Did you know that our first interaction with cannabinoids as humans is in human breast milk?
No, that's so interesting. How is that
Yes.
possible?
So, we're all born with an endocannabinoid system, and our very first interaction with cannabinoids is in breast milk. And very sadly, our bodies are almost completely deprived
Right.
of cannabinoids after our lifeline of breast milk. And there's been a lot of studies to this, but one of the fundamental factors in the development of a newborn and their attraction to breast milk is because it stimulates your CB1 receptors as part of your endocannabinoid system, and it basically suggests that it develops a newborn's appetite,
Oh,
as well.
wow.
Yeah. And of course, there's the neuroprotective components to cannabinoids, and so there's other research that essentially finds that it's able to help protect neurons in the postnatal development of the brain. And I mean, it's awful that we essentially, after breastfeeding, are almost entirely stripped of cannabinoids in modern diet. So
If you're not breastfed, you're kind of screwed, really.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's why it's so essential. It's so important.
Wow. So talk, there are two things I really wanted to talk about because I knew nothing about them. One is testing and the other one is sourcing. Can you shed any light on those two areas?
Absolutely. So testing is
Like, why
is
do you test?
it, it is a it's a process. It's a pretty intricate process, from getting, from starting with the seed and bringing a product to market, seed to shelf. And it's important because there are there are a lot of opportunities to cut corners through the different processes that are required to take it from seed to shelf.
Okay.
And it's important to be transparent. Transparency is everything. I mean, it's the future of business. It's
It
the most
is.
important thing, that consumers need to be aware of, and that businesses ultimately need to abide by and understand the importance. And so testing happens, the way that we perform testing is above and beyond what most companies do, but also above and beyond what would probably would be considered to be the requirement.
Okay.
Because, so when it comes to hemp, you have the plant itself, which requires testing to confirm, for federal and state purposes, that it is not, above that 0.3% THC threshold, and, able to be deemed as industrial hemp, therefore making it, legal to
Right.
harvest and utilize for industrial food, supplement, and many other processes and uses that hemp is very valuable for. And I can go into that later if you want to. But so it's tested at that point. Then it goes into its initial extraction, which we use supercritical CO2, which is the cleanest form of extraction. There's a lot of different ways that cannabinoids and hemp oil and CBD can be extracted from the plant, and not all of them are very healthy.
Healthy, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of solvents that can be used effectively for the extraction process.
But some of them are, I mean, just say the kind of solvents that we're talking about, like it's scary stuff.
I've seen acetone.
Acetone, yep, that's what I've heard. Acetone.
Acetone is probably the worst.
Oh.
But butane, hexane, heptane, acetone. So we are very, very, very aware of of these processes. Certain companies that do it, or we've heard do it, but we are very, very strict on only using CO2 extraction. And then as part of our refinement process, we use organic ethanol for distillation. And that's just so there are many different steps, and I guess that's all that's really important to understand. And so testing the product and the material throughout these different steps is really important from a quality and compliance standpoint. When it comes to the finished product and a consumer packaged good, that of course requires all final testing for that product. And the important test and should be a part of everyone's routine, whether they're looking at a different product, a different company, so on and so forth. Of course, stability testing is typically a requirement for all retail and consumer goods. That's pretty standard across all food and beverage items, not necessarily specific to CBD. But the other things that we test for are microbiological, residual solvents, terpenes, potency, heavy metals, and I feel like I'm forgetting one. Heavy metals.
That's the terpenes and heavy metals is a pretty big deal.
What was that?
That's a pretty big deal that I had no idea you were testing for all that.
Yeah, we do. We do, yeah. I mean, hemp does have a tendency. I mean, it's one of its benefits, honestly. It's able to clean soil very, very effectively and pull toxins out of soil and, regenerate soil. So if there are, really any amounts of heavy metals in the soil, it will purify that soil. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really it's pretty. It has a lot of abilities to improve the environment in a lot of different ways, both from its use as well as many other aspects.
Now, what about I'm sure that you run across people that tell you these stories about how CBD has sort of changed their life, or become a part of their life? I mean, is there any that sort of stand out? I asked Dr. Blair sort of the same question. Is there, any that sort of stand out to you that you'd like to share?
There's so many, and I wish I could share.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going, back and forth all day, just kind of trying to figure out, a good way to tell one of these stories. And it's just, telling the story, even though it's not, myself or published, it's technically considered a claim, and we have to be very,
Yeah.
very mindful not to make, specific medical claims. But I
Okay.
will I will say that, some of the items that I can share, as far as stories, would be the story of Leonard Marshall, and
It was a
the
football
change.
player, right?
Yeah, yeah, Leonard
Mhm.
Marshall. He's been using Elixinol products for years now. He played in the NFL for 10 years, won 2 Super Bowl rings. There's quite a few awesome articles on him, and he was diagnosed with CTE, and
Oh,
so that, among many other very, very um, just head turning health changes that he was able to uh, not only document, but really get out in the media and share his story. Is really one of the greater stories that I can share. And then another one would be just the daily reminder, from these stories that we do get on a very regular basis, because people are just, they experience a change in their life, and they become motivated to let us know. And it's really, it's so motivating. And it's really what drives every time we get a story or a testimonial, or sometimes people will compliment it with pictures. And
oh wow.
some of the pictures are, I mean, they're jaw dropping.
Oh,
um, and so, knowing that is taking place, as we are, going through the day, and dealing with dozens and dozens of frustrations from an operational side, is really like, it, it it's it's very relieving.
yeah, it makes it worthwhile, that all your hard work is changing lives. I mean, that was one of the things that really originally brought me to reach out to you was our mutual friend Wendy turned me onto your product. And I was like, when she first talked to me about it, I was like, CBD doesn't work for me. And she's like, well, why don't you just try this product? And 20
Yeah,
minutes later, I was like, whoa,
yeah,
whoa, I was shocked. So I was like, I need to
yeah,
meet Arthur like pronto. And that's
yeah,
how,
yeah,
and then I was talking to you. I remember talking to you, and then you being such a wealth of information and talking to me about terrapins and, all the things, and the ECS system and all these. And I was just like, well, I think my followers need to know this, because clearly I knew nothing. And, that's how this all came about. And
yeah.
now, my routine is similar to yours, morning and evening. I know my daughter's been using CBD, and hers is more daytime, very different than mine. And I think
Mhm.
that's the one thing that is a big message, is that you have to figure out what's going to work for you. And it also, depends on what you're using it for, or what you're trying to achieve, would you say?
Yeah, and absolutely, and everyone's different. I mean, honestly, I've had family members report back completely different experiences. Like, for example, if you, for someone who is like really, really high energy, um, you know,
Okay.
there's people out there that are, upfront and understanding to their feature of talking nonstop, or just being really kind of like high strung. And almost always those people will, will really kind of like relax, and and able to gather them and just become more relaxed. And then there's other people, and again, these are family members that have said this, that may just be a bit more naturally lethargic and can't take CBD
Wow.
close to bedtime because it gives them so much energy. And so, yeah, I mean, it's completely different. It's really, and that really illustrates how versatile it is, because and that's where people notice it the most is, areas and deficiencies in their body that are potentially, out of balance and coming back to that equilibrium state. And then of course there's those immediate responses in the body, and then there are a wide variety of extended responses. So,
Okay.
I would say the difference between other, most other supplements in comparison to CBD is that there is a natural understanding to really any and all dietary supplements that someone, that you would have to take it for several weeks at a time
For
until
something.
you notice the benefits.
Right.
That just isn't the case at all with hemp and CBD. The other thing, which I think maybe Chris might be talking about more tomorrow night, is just the difference between a full spectrum oil, a whole plant product, compared to an isolate,
Right.
CBD isolate product. Because that's a whole nother conversation, but it's really important, and it does tie back to the testing component, because when you have only CBD that's been isolated into only CBD molecule and added to a product simply as an ingredient, as only CBD,
Hmm.
you're not going to see those results as you would with a full spectrum
Oh,
product.
okay.
Because CBD on its own, and I use this analogy a lot, but I believe it to be so accurate. So CBD is ultimately like Peyton Manning. If you put Peyton Manning up against a team of 11 defenders, what is he going to do? Nothing.
Right.
He's going to be virtually ineffective. He
Right.
might be able to play some mind games with them, but he's not gonna be able to do that much. If you put a supporting cast around him,
Hey,
he'll be that all-star that he is. And that is the case with CBD, because there are so many different synergies that are in play when it comes to the other cannabinoids, the terpenes, the lipids. It really it's supposed to be in its natural form. It shouldn't be manipulated to that extent of isolating CBD on its own.
okay.
But the other, so it's, yeah, so that would be another consumer awareness point to
Right.
understand whether you are actually taking a whole plant or full spectrum. And I use those words interchangeably because I refer to it as both. I think whole plant would be the more accurate term compared to full spectrum, only because full spectrum would imply that everything in the
Right.
spectrum of cannabis would be present. And that's just not the case, because there's different strains, there's different ratios. But what's important is that you are utilizing a whole plant extract
Right.
as part of the product.
And
Yeah.
okay.
So then the other I guess story that I could mention would just to point out the realm of caring, and we've been a partner with the realm of caring for several years now, and they are a nonprofit organization that is able to provide that sort of educational and testimonial type content because
Oh,
of who they are and what they're doing. But the ultimate story to that is their focus is children, and children
Wow.
with epilepsy, autism, every different array of disease that has plagued many children, and they actually reached out to us and wanting to develop a partnership and sponsorship with us. And in the past 4 years, it's only been given to two other companies. So, the story there is the benefit that many families and children are receiving
It's huge.
our alliance with the Realm of Caring. They're also collecting research and feedback in using the products, and working directly with Johns Hopkins University on
Wow.
organizing preclinical trial data. So being a part of that is really awesome, and we go to all their events, and it's really awesome to be around. A lot of the local families and children come out, and we do various events to raise awareness and just to support them as partners. And so it's really awesome to be able to be a part of that and
That's
see,
great.
have that reminder, at all times.
That's great. We have a list of questions here. I'm going to start firing them off. Are you good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm
No
gone
worries.
off.
I drink the whole time, always. I'm very interested in taking CBD to help my legs. I have OT. Not sure what OT is. I don't. Maybe Irene, if you could maybe fill us in on OT, and we'll do some other questions. A reliable place to buy CBD, this is Irene again, would be Elixinol, and that's who's sponsoring these talks, and that's who Arthur is with, and that's ELIXINOL.com. And I'll post a link. There you go. Yep. Yeah, it's hard to see on this. This is I love this blue glass bottle.
Oh yeah, the Miron glass. So this
Yeah,
is
it's so pretty.
the highest quality glass you can get, because it actually protects
Protects,
against,
right?
for freshness and sunlight degradation.
Yeah, no. And Dr. Blair gave us a tip last night. He said that if you want, you can just break open the little capsules if you want an immediate effect and don't have to wait for the actual capsule itself to break down, which I thought was
Yep.
brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, so that's a reliable place. Let's see. Nice to see you smiling, V. Oh, hopefully I smile. I think I smile a lot. I also experienced pain after my walk. So maybe the CBD will help to stop the pain after my fast walk. Well, going back to your point, you and I do it without realizing I was doing it before I work out. So we're like, it's almost like a prophylactic. We're cutting down the inflammation before the workout rather than taking it post when we've already inflamed. So,
Correct.
I would recommend for Irene, I don't know, try it both ways, sort of biohack your body, see which works better for you, right? Can you do it before and after?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Why not,
And
right?
ultimately, taking it before, I think it's a pretty high probability that you'll end up enjoying your walk even more, and maybe even walking longer.
And that's what's been happening to me on the mat, but I wasn't attributing it to anything other than I'm a rock star. Now I have to, now I have to reevaluate that. Darn it, V, you're not a rock star. Hey, V, Dr. G needs this. I think Dr. G already bought I think he has the pen. And we talked about it. So I'll keep talking to Dr. G about that. No wonder my baby's all nursed. Oh, because of the cannabinoid. New to CBD. Can you use your products on pets? Actually,
Yes.
Elixinol has a whole pet line.
Yes. Yeah. And I give my dog, she's a little French bulldog, which the breed is pretty prone to various health conditions. And so that, I don't give it to her for a specific purpose, but just with that understanding going into it that the breed was very prone to various health conditions. I've been giving her CBD every other day since she was a puppy. And we do have a whole pet line, and it is an awesome line of products, and dogs really love the treats that we offer. I like the treats as more of a supplemental product, because if you're looking to achieve a more I don't want to say substantial, but a a good a good dose, a good daily dose, it adds up. It ends up being
Wow.
a good amount of treats. So what I've been doing recently is actually taking a capsule and wrapping it like a taco in a little piece of salami, and just folding it in half around the capsule, and giving it to my little French bulldog, and she loves it. She
Ah, there
eats
you
it,
go.
she takes it, and she's really, knock on wood, she's full of energy, great personality, completely healthy, very, very smart, well behaved, obedient. She's really, I mean, gets compliments everywhere we go. So
Ah.
I can't say what exactly could potentially be attributed to anything, but so far, so good.
And what about people that say they've tried it and it doesn't really do anything for them?
I
I can.
would say
Go ahead. I want to hear.
check the product, check the company, do your due diligence on understanding where it's coming from, the ingredients used, and most importantly, whether or not it's a whole plant product or an isolate product, because oftentimes when people don't see those, effects or results, or notice any sort of difference, it often means that you were taking an isolate based product, which
And
again, it's Peyton Manning without the team.
right, right. And I have to say that that's what I think happened with me. And I also wasn't informed at the time to check and make sure how they were distilled, were they organic. I mean, God knows really what I was using. I mean, I could have been putting, acetone in my body, which of course wasn't going to have a positive effect. Okay, let me see, pain, looking for pain relief. I've had pain relief, that's for sure. What milligrams do you take? This is someone talking to her. I think it's called Elixinol. Excited to be trying your products. Can't wait to receive them. Is it available in Canada? Yes, you guys are available everywhere, right?
So Canada, technically,
Uh,
we're not available in Canada because of more recent legislation that's taken place in Canada. However, we expect to be back into Canada within the year.
okay.
Is kind of the goal. It Unfortunately, what ended up happening was they ultimately put all cannabinoids under the same regulatory umbrella. Whereas, in the U.S., sure, 100%, there's a lot of, uh, there's a lot of, just gray areas that, technically it's legal, but there's ways to argue that it's not, because it's all cannabis, and cannabis is illegal, but then there's the farm bill, the federal farm bill, which protects hemp products below zero point 0.3 THC. So there's there's contrasting arguments in the US, but at the end of the day, it's not classified equally as THC, and that's ultimately due to the federal farm bill. So the difference in Canada is that it's all considered
One
the same.
thing.
Yeah, so THC is viewed under the same regulatory framework as CBD, as CBG, as THCA, CBC, CBN, all the different cannabinoids. So, but there's even more changes happening in Canada that will ultimately allow us to come back and offer our products.
What about the U.S.? A lot of people are like, oh, it's not going to be available. Even somebody wrote here, better stock up. They're going to stop it in America. Is that true?
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, there's a lot of speculation, and it's an industry that's filled with he said, she said, different, rumors on different things, stirring up some fear, instilling confidence. It is a natural botanical product. There are different scenarios that could potentially exist that would limit certain types of materials derived from hemp, but at the end of the day, a natural botanical product is going to be pretty difficult to stop. And there's a lot of it's a train that's moving a bit too fast, and there's
That's
so
what I
much
think.
support. And I whenever I reach a point of uncertainty, I remind myself that a mother is the most dangerous animal on the planet. And when you have mothers who
Fighting
are
for this, right?
who are fighting for their children, they are absolutely unstoppable.
True.
And there's no question that that they just won't let it be stopped.
Yep. Well, we're sort of at the end of our wonderful time, but we do have, there are some more questions there. A lot of them that I see on there, we have answered. So maybe go back and listen, but I will go back and answer all that I can. And if I have any questions for you, Arthur, I'll come back and find out what they are so I can get back to all the people that were on. Thank you so much for being part of this and for doing all the stuff that you do. My miracle status continues to get more and more miraculous. And in 2017, Elixinol became a part of that. Near infrared sauna became a part of that. Like, I have so many new tools in my bag of tricks that have given me better performance moving my body, and as well as, but like the hardest parts of my disease, the things that have held on to the longest, are starting to go away. And the one that I recognize coming from CBD is the problems with my neck. Like, I have a tremendous amount of hypersensitivity, can't wear necklaces, but it's been gone. And the only thing I've changed is my morning and nighttime Elixinol products. So I have been doing better on the mat, but I never really thought about maybe I was decreasing the inflammation before I got on the mat. So I'm super excited and just really grateful that 2017 brought, your company and your products into my life personally. And they've really contributed to my ability to not only maintain miracle status, but become more miraculous.
Well, we are very happy to be a part of your mission and supporting your goals and the educational efforts that you're making. And we love to be a part of it, and we love to be a part of as I mentioned before, good people. It's so important.
It really is. It really is. And the person that introduced us is one of my favorite people of all time. And I met her through a company called Nativa, which is another great conscious company. So when you see things go full circle like that, it's like, the line, it's like the flow chart of goodness. Well, thank you so much. And for everyone, just one more time, if you would like to get the PDF booklet about everything that we're talking about, send an email to v@paleobosslady.com. Please write in the subject, I consent to be signed up, and then in the body, put to the Elixinol and Paleo Boss Lady newsletter. Now, do that. If you have questions, don't worry. I got you. We'll figure it out. Make sure you get it right. But just, and then I will go back and answer all these questions. I will put an Elixinol link. And when you get the PDF, you'll also get a code, and I'll also post the code for a discount. So you get a discount when you buy. Have a good night, Arthur. I really appreciate it. All right, you take good care. I'll see you. I'm going to see you in March, right? You're coming to California. Yes, I can't wait. All right, a couple hugs. All right, take care. Bye.
You too. Bye.